We've covered a lot of information about SQL Server 2008 development in the course, and as the course comes to a close, I want to kind of wrap up with just some general advice, guidelines, reflections on SQL Server development. The first one is, I just want to tell you that this is an excellent field to go into. The time and effort that you expend to learn SQL Server development will be rewarded for you out there in the marketplace. And if you go out to some of the job sites and look at what's going on with salaries and job openings for people with SQL Server skills, you're going to be quite pleased with what you see. Now, when we talk about development, that really is a wide spectrum of possible skill sets and possible requirements. And these can even vary greatly from company to company when you start talking about employment. So my best advice to you is to dig out into some of the resources that are out there, and I'm going to list some for you in just a second. But I want you to understand that when I come to a course like this and I start putting the course together, I always wrestle a lot with, okay, what should I put in? What do I have to leave out because of time constraints? And how deep do I go? And I've always tend to fail toward really simple examples, because if you can get your head around the simplicity, then you can easily build to the complex. And that is especially true in SQL Server. So as we've gone through here, I hope I've gone deep enough for you to get a grasp, but not so deep that you get intimidated and walk away from the course confused. Now, some of the resources that you have out there first of all, I would look at Microsoft.com. You can go to Microsoft.com/SQL. You can just go to Microsoft.com and search for whatever particular topic you're looking for in SQL Server. And that's either going to take you to books online in the online method, or it'll direct you out to MSDN or TechNet. And there is some excellent information out on Microsoft's website. However, this comes with one warning, and that is this was written by those really incredibly smart nerds at Microsoft, and a lot of times some of their examples are a little too complex, or some of their text assumes that you know something you don't know, and it can get a little tough and a little intimidating sometimes. So my next recommendation for you is to jump out on Google, and it is amazing the examples that you can find, the explanations that you can find. It would be really tough to go back to a life without search engines like Google or Start Page or any of the other ones that you might use, but a good search engine. I really like third-party books. I like third-party books because I a lot of time go to a Barnes & Noble, a Borders, whatever your local bookstore is, and the ones that have a good computer section, just pull some books down about SQL Server and just start to read through them. Find a book where that author is communicating, I don't know, your vibrations and his or hers are just a match, and you can grasp what they're teaching and it's making sense. And you can find the O'Reilly books tend to be kind of more technical, a little more academic, and if you like that, if that's your style, go for it. Some of the Microsoft step-by-step stuff or Microsoft Press is excellent. Rocks books, I love those things. They're usually a perfect mix between explaining things and really digging into details. They show you a lot of screenshots, a lot of code examples. Those can help as well. And then this last one is the biggest one. Your own mistakes will teach you more than all of the other stuff combined. Don't ever fall into the trap of just trying to read your way into proficiency. Grab a good book, grab a course like this, grab some examples. As you go through this course with me, type these things out. You will make mistakes. You'll learn more from those mistakes. And even in the course, a lot of times when I make mistakes, especially in my coding or in whatever action I'm trying to do, I tend to leave it in the course because those little mistakes will steal your day from you, and they'll actually steal your strength and your concentration from you. Go ahead and make those mistakes early on. The difference between a really good SQL developer and one who's not so good is simply the number of mistakes they've made. The really good one has just simply made a lot more mistakes. And sometimes the mistakes are evident in little squiggly lines, and they jump right out at you in an error when you try to run it. And other times, and the most hideous, are the mistakes that show up 6 months later when people start trying to do things with this database, and you realize, uh-oh, I shouldn't have normalized so far. I should have normalized further. This is not going to work this way. This store procedure needs to be changed, that sort of thing. As I wrap up the course here, I hope you've picked up a lot of useful information here. I hope I've instructed at a level that really makes sense to you. And if you have any suggestions, ideas for future courses, teaching technique, or anything like that, please feel free to email them to me. If you will check one of the last movies in the course here is going to be about the author, and I'll include my email address there. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks again for purchasing the course. And this brings us to an end, but understand it's only the end of the course. It certainly is not the end of where you need to go with your SQL Server development.